Okay, well that was Great Southern Land by Icehouse, and quite frankly that's only a small taste of what's to come. This is in fact just the bio, but it's the in fact front cover of Primitive Man from Icehouse, the album that's about to be released. And it's, as I said last week, an incredible album. We're actually sitting in the room where it was all conceived, and with me I have the singer-songwriter himself, Mr. Ivor Davies. Well, welcome to Countdown again. Listen, first of all, congratulations on the album, because I've been excited over a few albums this year, Dare was being, of course, one of them, Human League, but this one I think is just incredible. You must be very happy.
It's good to hear. No, I am. It's the first time, for a long time, I've really been able to listen to something that I've done, so
right.
It's a good sign.
Now listen, going right back, with the Icehouse album, When You Were Flowers, again I was quite excited over that album. I declared it as one of the best debut albums I'd heard from an Australian group. And Can't Help Myself, of course, was the first single. Can you just tell us a little bit about Can't Help Myself and that entire album, where you got the ideas from?
The thing about Can't Help Myself was that at the time, Cameron Allen, you know him, producer, was about to undertake recording the album. And Can't Help Myself was a song that I'd only written about 2 days before we were due to start recording. Right. And at that point, he had another choice for a single. I can't remember what it was. And he so liked that song that he said, listen, let's forget everything and do this song. So that was how Can't Help Myself was picked as the first single.
Well, after that, and the album then was released and it started to sort of like go up the charts like crazy, We Can Get Together came out, which was again another great song, and again had great chart success in this country.
The thing about it was, at that point, it was by far the fastest song I'd ever written. The whole thing took about 3 hours.
Right.
Everything else at that point had been a bit of a labour for me. I think probably it shows up in that song too, but I guess it's probably the poppiest song that I've ever written.
Then the album, of course, then went so big, and I remember then you did the Rock Awards in Sydney that year, and that sort of fluorescent sort of cube, and you did Icehouse, but you seemed to be gaining more confidence then, as far as what you wanted to do. Right.
I had bets with Martin Fabini, our record company man, that it wasn't going to get into the top 40. Right. But of course, fortunately, I lost that bet.
Right, well then there was the change in name from sort of Flowers to the title of the album, which became slightly confusing, Icehouse. Then there was sort of the band went its own way, as far as you all sort of started to do your own thing. Love in Motion came out towards the end of last year, and again was a hit, but it was sort of far different from, say, like the original stuff on the Icehouse album.
Yeah, that's partly a result, I think, of the fact that we recorded that in Britain. In fact, that was written in Britain. Right. It was right in the middle of that overseas tour, and we only had... we arrived there with a week to prepare our equipment, but they sprung a surprise on me and said, well, listen, in 2 days we've got some studio time booked in air, and we'd like you to record a single. And I had no songs at all, so that was... the second time, really, I'd really written a song fast. Right. On the new album, I've written a lot of songs very fast because it worked.
Okay, well, let's get on to the new album because we're running out of time. Primitive Man, I remember ringing, not so long ago, really, well, 3 or 4 or 5 months ago, and I said, what's Ivor doing? And he said, well, he hasn't written any songs yet. And I said, what? Right, so that all came together in this room very quickly then, when you decided to sort of get down to do the album.
Yeah, I think a lot of people said, oh, it's very slow for me to write songs. The point was, I guess, that we had a lot of touring, and once I'd had a break, I moved into this place here, and within a week I'd written Great Southern Land.
Right. On the drum machine, the Lynn drum machine?
The drum machine is a pretty new addition, and I guess I have to give that credit as being the main inspiration for this album. Right. Because in this room, even though it's a room in a house, I could produce a full sound and for the purposes of the demos, so it really was an inspiration.
Well, I must say, Hey Little Girl was the first track I heard from the album last weekend, and it just blew me out. And then Glam, which is what, your dedication really to Mark Bolan? Is your Mark Bolan?
I guess he has to be pretty much up there, yeah. Right. There's a lot of them, but he's probably my favourite.
Which is a very dance type of number. Yeah. Well, it's an excellent album, and I really do congratulate you. I just didn't think you were going to come up with a second one as good, or even the goods at one stage. I thought he's dried out. But it's brilliant, and it's guaranteed success. This was the drawing. Where did you get this drawing from? It's in the bio of it.
Right. Strangely enough, it was offered to us as a first cover, cover for the first album. Of course, it really didn't have anything to do with the first album, but I used this as a starting point, and I named the album Primitive Man before any of the songs were written from this piece of artwork.
Great. All right, and also, I don't know if you've even seen this, but there's a telex that your manager's just got, And this, in fact, here, folks, is all the ads for the first week, all the American stations right across. There's something around about 70 of them already, and it's the 4th most added album this week in America, so that's not bad. So I think it's going to work all across for you. Thanks, Ivan, and congratulations.